Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sean Show. We're back. Episode 3 of the second season. Gonna make this quick because long shows are boring. Alright, so let's get straight to the agenda. This week, or at least today, we are talking about the NFL team schedule, how a schedule is brought up. I will educate you on that. You'll know something new after today. And then after that, we're going to go through my 2025 season simulation that also has our playoff picks, at least from what the simulation says. A little bit more information about that. And then we do have our regular bets that we do every week. So let's get into it. Let's get rid of this agenda. Alright, first off, an NFL schedule, and we're using the Buffalo Bills as an example, simply because typically when you look up the NFL and a kind of table, or at least the standings, Buffalo Bills are usually the first one there just because of the alphabet, and just because they're the Bills, and AFC East is normally the first thing that shows up, and they're dominating the East right now, and they're also the earliest in the alphabet in the AFC East. Of course, teams like Atlanta Falcons are going to be first if you look at overall, but usually AFC East comes up first, and the Buffalo Bills are there first. So, how's a season schedule built up? And it's on your screen there if you haven't already started reading. So you might wonder why some teams have an easier schedule than others, and why some teams seem to have a absolutely difficult season. And this is why. So, every season, teams will play their divisional rivals. They'll play home games and they'll play away games against them. That equals 6 total games. As you can see, AFC East, you've got the Dolphins, you've got the Jets, and you've got the Patriots. The Bills will play them at home and away, 6 total games. Next, each division will also verse another division within their same conference. They will only play 1 game against each opponent, which equals 4 games. In this case, at least this season, the AFC East versus the AFC North. So the Bills, this week, I do believe they play the Ravens. Then eventually throughout the season, they're going to have to verse the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Browns. A total of 4 games. Next, each division will also verse 1 division in the opposing conference. And in this example, at least for this season, the AFC East is versing the NFC South. So the Bills will have 1 game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, and the New Orleans Saints. A total of 4 games. Now, as you can see, these are ordered in a certain fashion. They're actually ordered in the placements that they had last season. So, we've hit 14 games. There's 17 games in the season. So the 3 remaining games go as follows. They will play 2 games against the equal division seed of the remaining 2 divisions in their conference. What that means is the Bills came first in their division, the AFC East. They have played all the teams, or they will play all the teams in the AFC North. So there are 2 remaining divisions in their conference that they have not encountered, and that's the AFC South and the AFC West. The Bills, again, they won the AFC East, so they verse the winners of the AFC South and the AFC West. Last season, that was the Texans and the Chiefs, so that's who they're coming up against this season. Now, the final game that has to get placed into their schedule doesn't mean it's the last game of the season. This doesn't determine order. The last game for their schedule is the equal playoff seed of the previous season of the opposing conference. So again, I'll explain it. Last season, the Bills came second. They were the 2nd seed in the AFC East, which means that this season they will verse last season's NFC 2nd seed. Okay. So overall, Bills came second in the AFC. So they have to verse the second overall in the NFC, and that in this case happens to be the Eagles. Now, every team will follow this format. Every team will follow this format. Miami Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots, they will have all the games against NFC North, AFC North, NFC South. What changes for them is those last three teams. And that's it. That's how a season's built up. Sweet. Alright, let's move on to the next thing. Get a little sip of water in the meantime. You can digest that piece of information there. Next up on the agenda is our simulation. That's right. I ran a simulation of this upcoming season. Every single game. Winners, losers. This thing was insane. This simulation ran millions and millions and millions of simulations of these games of this season. It was a meticulous process. Some games took me 5 seconds. Some games took me up to a minute. So very rigorous all of these simulations. What did I take into account? I took into consideration major injuries that could happen, new coaches, i.e. new DCs, new OCs, new head coaches, new players to teams, team trends from the last few seasons, how they've been moving, and just the overall vibes of pre-season. Now, one thing to state about this simulated model. This simulation was made pre-season. Now, this was before Trey Hendrickson had completed his signing process with the Bengals. This was before the Micah Parsons trade. This was before the recent news of Christian McCaffrey's calf injury or strain, which can be alarming. Could also be nothing. But just a little word of warning, this is when the simulation was made, so things change. I have the division winners, I have the playoff seeds, I have every team's record. We can talk about their over-under possibly next week. Now let's talk about the playoff simulation. That's the crux of this whole bit. We're not going for very long today. A short show's a good show. So the playoffs. What did the simulation say? The simulation said that for the AFC, the Steelers will be the number 1 seed with 14 wins and 3 losses. They will win the AFC North. The only other team to make it into the playoffs from the AFC North will be the Baltimore Ravens, trailing behind them at 13-4. They are the 3rd seed. The Buffalo Bills will be the 2nd seed with 13 and 4 wins. The only team from the AFC East making it through. AFC South champion is going to be the Texans. Something's not right with this model, but that's fine. The Chiefs should be up there in place of the Texans. I made the graphics team made this very quickly. I didn't make anything. It was all the graphics team. I'm throwing this on them. I'm throwing this on the graphics team. Either way, the AFC South champion will be the Texans, the only team from that division to make it through. 11-6. Now, for the AFC West, 3 teams from the simulation are making it through. We've got Kansas City Chiefs at 12-5. We've got the Raiders and the Denver Broncos at 10-7. Now, honorable mention to the LA Chargers, also getting 10-7, but unfortunately losing certain division games to not make it through to the big dance. That's going to be a very competitive division this season. Would not be surprised if maybe all 4 of them make it through. Who knows? Who knows? NFL's a crazy place. Now moving over to the NFC side of things. Number 1 seed is going to be the Eagles, going 15-2. 15-2, that's right. Now again, this was made before the Christian McCaffrey news, and the simulation said that the 49ers will go 14-3. It also said that the Buccaneers will go 13-4 on a very strong campaign. Two teams from the NFC North will be making it through to the playoffs. That is the Packers at 10-7 and the Lions at 9-8. Now you might wonder why the Lions are the second seed from the NFC North. This is attributed mainly to the new, at least the loss of their offensive and defensive coordinator. It could take them a little bit. To make it on that road, but they also do have quite a tough season this season. I mean, they have to verse the Chiefs, they got to verse the Bucks, they got to verse the Commanders, the Eagles, they got to verse the Rams, they got to verse the Steelers, the Bengals. It's a tough. The NFC North has a very tough schedule this season, and the Green Bay Packers also do, but they have only added to their team. No major coaching changes. They're building on Jeff Hafley's defense. I believe it's going to be year 2 of something very exciting. So yeah, a little bit of an uptrend there for the Green Bay Packers, but again, a very, very tough schedule. Now from the NFC East, we've got the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders also making it through behind the Eagles with 10-7. Very strong outing there. I am expecting the Giants to have a bit of an uptick with Russell Wilson playing the football and also Jameis Winston being in the building. And who knows, Jackson Dart could very much be a guy if they need to bring him in. Now, I am a big fan of the Giants. I think you may have figured that out from last season's show and also the Factory of Sadness 2.0 video, but yeah, no, I've got a sweet spot for the Giants there, and I do believe they have a nice uptick this season. The worst performance in the NFL based on the model, and I think a lot of people are probably predicting this, is the New Orleans Saints. Some people might not even have them winning a game, but I have them winning 2 games. So you could say I'm a generous guy. Now let's go to the week 1 simulation. Currently, the pick rate after Thursday Night Football and the international game in Brazil is at 50%. Now that is 1 of 2. Might seem like an alarming percentage, but it is 1 of 2. I'm very glad that the Chargers did win. Does this affect the model's playoffs? Possibly, but we'll see at the end of the season. The model did pick the Eagles to win. Very tight game though. Now for the rest of this week, it's particularly Sunday, we've got the simulation says Tampa will beat Atlanta. The Browns will take it over the Bengals, who usually do start slow. Joe Flacco at the helm, dishing that ball. Could be a nice tight game in Cleveland. We've got Miami taking it over the Colts. We've got the Jags beating Carolina Panthers. Raiders beating the Patriots. Arizona beating the Saints. Steelers over the Jets. We've got the Giants over Washington. We've got the Broncos over Tennessee. We've got Niners over Seahawks. Green Bay over the Lions. Texans over LA. And for Sunday Night Football prime time, we've got the Baltimore Ravens taking out the Buffalo Bills, giving them a bit of a fuel to the rest of the season, that burn that fire. And then for Monday Night Football, we have the Chicago Bears starting to get comfortable and taking on the Minnesota Vikings, who have JJ McCarthy at the helm of an absolutely star-studded offense. But I just think Chicago kept it very competitive within the division last season. I think they continue that trend this season, and I think they get themselves off to a nice start with a win over the division rivals, the Minnesota Vikings. Now that was the simulation. Let us go to our against the spread picks. Now my picks aren't on there, but we'll be talking through them as we go. This is the first time I'll be doing consistent against the spreads picks for the season, and we will keep a tally to see how accurate I've been. So first up, Tampa Bay will have 1.5 points at Atlanta. I will be taking Tampa Bay with those points. I think they absolutely kill them, but it is a divisional game. It could be a close one. Next, we've got the Bengals with 5.5 points over the Browns. Bengals are looking to get a bit hot this season. They did play some preseason games, so hopefully they're ready to roll. 5.5 points is a lot. I just don't think a divisional game from the AFC North can actually have a spread that large. So I'm going to go with the Browns here. I'll take them at plus 5.5. Now Colts are favored by 1.5 over here. Now, I am kind of swaying. That model was made before Danny Dimes was named the starter, or at least I was halfway through it. I think Tua has not lost a week 1 game. I might go with the plus game here since it's so close. So I'll take Dolphins at plus 1.5 in Miami. I'll take the Jags plus 3.5, no problems. Liam Cohen, high-powered offense. Let's get it. Patriots here actually minus 2.5 at home under Mike Vrabel. But man, we got Geno and Pete Carroll and a fired-up Raiders team. I think I'll take the Raiders here. I think I'm taking the Raiders here at probably plus 2.5. Arizona Cardinals minus 6.5. They get the points. I'm taking them. No questions about it. I would be surprised as to see how many points this New Orleans offense can put up. Now, Kellen Moore has been a great offensive coordinator for the Cowboys. He did some absolute magic there. But at the end of last season, I did a head coaching situation where these guys were going into new head coaching roles, and I did say that I don't like the Saints' job, or at least with the amount of dead cap or low amount of space they had. Just the situation they were going into with that roster, I just don't think it was a good job. But if anybody can do it, it's Kellen Moore. So all power to him. I'm still taking the Cardinals. I will be taking this is a tough one, this Steelers-Jets game. Steelers are 2.5. The model does say that they beat the Jets, but it's a funny situation. So we've got Aaron Rodgers coming from the Jets to the Steelers. We also have Justin Fields coming from the Steelers to the Jets. Now, who practiced the most against that Aaron Rodgers magic last season? Probably the Jets defense, and it's not a shitty defense. Justin Fields is a mover. Can they do enough to beat these Steelers? They got weapons. Hasn't been drama from the building. They got a new head coach that wants them to be disciplined. I kind of want to take the Jets here. I might take the Jets. I'll take the Jets 2.5. They're in the factory of sadness actually. No, I'll take the Steelers. We can't take the Jets at home. That's some bad juju. So we're going with the Steelers, 2.5 points. The model, I do believe, for the NFC East says that the Washington Commanders lose to the Giants this week. I kind of like 6.5. I'm going to take the 6.5 there. I'm taking that. Next, we've got the Denver Broncos, 8.5 points over the Tennessee Titans. I don't like 8.5 points, especially for a divisional game like that. Broncos defense is insane though, and Cam Ward, although he has been hyped up from his college career, is a rookie quarterback. So I just don't trust that with that kind of defense Denver has. I will take Denver 8.5. Don't like it though. I really don't like it. Next we got San Fran, 1.5 points at Seattle. A lot of people are taking Seattle here on this one. I'm going to stick to my guns and go with San Fran, 1.5 points. Green Bay, 2.5 points over the Lions. What are we going to do here? I'm just going to stick with my guns, go with Green Bay. Could come down to a 1-point game. Probably going to be a field goal. Taking Green Bay, 2.5 points. Next, we've got the Houston Texans versus LA. Let us see what the model says for this one. Houston Texans getting a W over the Rams is what the model says, but books say that LA is favored by 3 points. Now they do have Devontae Adams. There has been reports about some type of rehab that Matt Stafford's been having to do. This is one of the reasons why the model did not see them in the playoffs, just because one really bad hit could probably take him out for the season, and then what do you got? I think it's Jimmy G in the wings, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm going to say that the Houston Texans need to figure out what they're doing on the O-line, so we'll go with the Rams here while they're strong. Taking them at 3 points right there. Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens versus the Buffalo Bills. Ravens 1.5. I do believe the model says that the Bills lose to the Ravens, and in this instance, I think that's true. I think that's true. I'll take the 1.5 points. Just there is a lot of firepower there on the Baltimore Ravens side, and Jair Wilson is going to be on that team. Possible comeback player of the year. I do like the Ravens here. They have shored up their defense a little bit by signing him. Next, we have the Monday Night Football game, which is the Minnesota Vikings 1.5 points over the Chicago Bears in the Windy City. I'm going to have to go with the Chicago Bears here. Again, I do think it's possible that they do win this game. They do have a new OC. Caleb Williams seems to be feeling a lot more comfortable with his players around him, and the defense is... Chicago's always going to have good defense. I'm going to take the Chicago Bears here. Nice. Now, the only thing we do need to talk about is our bets, so let's get on to it very quickly. So our 5-game parlay for this week is the Jacksonville Jags at -3.5, Pittsburgh Steelers at -2.5. We're taking Las Vegas Raiders money line right there. We are taking the Arizona Cardinals at 6.5, and we are taking Tampa Bay Buccaneers money line as well. Continuing trend from last season is that we want to become a millionaire, and we want to do it the easy way, and we want to do it a cheap way. So this bet right here is roughly 100,000 to 1 odds. If you put $10 in and all of these hit, guess what? You're a millionaire, baby. What do we got? We got Theo Johnson for a touchdown, Terry McLaurin for a touchdown, Pat Fryermuth, Justin Fields, Brock Bowers, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Daniel Jones, George Kittle, Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, all to get touchdowns. And then we have Josh Jacobs for a touchdown and 40 yards rushing. Brilliant. Well, everybody, take it in. Use those bets. Don't use those bets. If I'm a millionaire next week, then and you're not, then hey, maybe you should listen to me. That was the Sean Show, episode 3 of season 2. We will catch you after this week's football action. Oh my god, it's back. Let's go. Get hype, everybody. Thanks for